Grief and loss as portals. We could say that the portal emotion for the archetype of the lover is loss, grief, sadness. The attunement to knowing the part of ourself that can both give and receive love, and how that mechanism occurs and how it can become distorted and function both in a healthy way and an unhealthy way, is the experience of grief. Getting through that portal, and through that portal means finally feeling grief fully, finally feeling sadness fully, unequivocally, without parts to it, without a sense of a self feeling it, but just fully experiencing it. That's the opening. That opens us to this archetypal energy of the lover, which is powerful and a very important part of our psyche, our psychological makeup as a human. So this is one of the reasons I talk so much about shadow work and loss and so forth, and grief and all, because without the knowing in direct experience of that power of the power of that portal, we're missing out on a lot, and we may not even know it. We can have relationships, we can have interactions with others, we can have interactions with life itself, and feel some love and have some punctuated experiences of even a universal love. But we'll always be a little cut off from ourselves in a way. We'll be cut off from part of our emotion body, which is part of our physical and energetic body as well. And we can overlook this for an entire lifetime, even with some degree of awakening, for sure. But what I find is, as realization deepens, we get to this place where the emotion becomes so overwhelming and engulfing that that's all that's left. You can experience an emotion so purely that there's just no one apart from the emotion. It's just full-on physiologic, all-encompassing. And it doesn't necessarily mean it lasts a long time. It often moves through quickly when we're able to do this. But it's universally surprising how direct and how intense it is, let's say. And again, that's the portal. That's the portal to knowing, trusting, connection, love, compassion, self-love, trusting ourselves, trusting others, and really understanding these energies, really understanding how these energies not just move through us, but through others. And also noticing how they coalesce with the natural cycles in and around us, which is critical to live with equanimity, to live with deep equanimity, both equanimity in the self, meaning just the person, in your internal experience when you're spending time alone, and also with others, when you're spending time with others, whether it's casual, whether it's deeply emotionally connected, whether it's challenging, whether it's not challenging, but to feel a deep equanimity in both spaces, whether we're by ourselves or with others, such that we feel this kind of fluidity as we move from environment to environment, and not clinging and not rejecting. So again, the portal emotion for all of that is grief, sadness. You will encounter this as you wake up. You may not encounter it before awakening in a kind of full-on way that I'm talking about, and you may not encounter it during the sort of honeymoon period that comes after awakening, but at some point you will, for sure. You'll feel a lot of loss with this. Now, much of what's lost is illusion. What we're actually grieving is the loss of something that was never there, but the emotion doesn't care about that. It's just an experience that's so full on that we have no choice but to surrender to it. Perhaps it's something like what Adyashanti would call redemptive love, but it's critical that we're willing to go there, to go where our body takes us when this comes. Because if not, like I said, you can be overlooking quite a bit in relationship, and importantly in relationship with yourself. So let that grief come, let it show you what it is. without analysis, without rejection, without naming it, without turning it into a story of any kind. Just let it be full on, because it will at some point. It will present itself. And often we think we've done this too. I've seen this many times. Oh yeah, I know. I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with grief and loss, but we're kind of experiencing the grief and loss and sadness mixed in with a coping mechanism. And we don't realize that. So it has to get more direct than that. And it will at some point if you just trust it. Trust your instincts to go where that emotional landscape will take you sooner or later.